fellow beings and houseplants. Welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where we learn interesting things throughout the week and break them down into bite-sized morsels after lightly researching them. This is episode 59, recorded September 6th, 2021. I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. Down below me, Colton Roper, also known as Seeker4761.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hi, Brandon. Hi, everybody.
You sound a little bit better.
You sound a little breathy.
Good. Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm starting a new
breathy.
podcast, an ASMR podcast.
I don't know. It's
Oh,
a little bit creepy if you ask me.
Yeah.
You got to get the dual mics going. That way you can go left side, right side. Anyway, up above him in catty corner that direction, Charlie Stiffler, also known as Mjolnir. Down below him, we have Tim.
What's his last name?
Oh my god. This is terrible.
Damn it.
You are
Rhyme.
like you to-
Rhyme.
Goldfish. You are
Yes.
a goldfish.
Hey, good.
Yeah.
Just remember
I-
to be like, right.
So the
Yeah,
way I
yeah,
remember it is the giant dude in Overwatch, and I have to remember Reinhardt,
Okay.
and then it's Rhyme.
Okay.
I would do it.
I got this as a kid, so just remember bacon rind.
That would work.
Does that help?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Or
Kids are
orange
mean.
rind.
Kids are
I think watermelon rind.
Oh, yeah, pork rind.
Oh,
watermelon.
watermelon
There we
rind.
go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say why I think that, but
pork rinds. Yeah, your new nickname's pork rinds. Sorry.
pork rind. I'm sure he heard that
usually-
shit growing up all the time.
Kids are bad,
No.
but here at TWIL, we're worse.
Actually,
We're worse.
I
I'm
got
specifically worse.
rhino all the time.
Rhino.
Rhino because
That's a good one.
Rhino. Okay.
sometimes the
Okay.
male came as rhino because they drop they don't see the D or something. I don't know what. It is. But anyways, it could be worse.
They
There's
always
worse
see the
things
D. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Well, Tim Rhind, also known as Fake Farang. And then up above him, all the way that direction, Cody Stratman, also known as Psychonitrous. Yeah, so this is going to be just a normal format. Next week is going to be a discussion episode. But Cody is going to tell us about a lot of paperwork this week.
Yes.
I'm assuming
And-
visa.
because he didn't listen to somebody's advice.
Ah.
Oh.
There's many
Scandal.
complications to
Tease.
this.
It's a
yeah,
tease.
yeah.
Truth.
That's teasing.
Nope.
And luckily,
Scandal.
Colton
Total scandal.
will tell us that we should take a hello pause and think
Helio.
about this.
Helio. There's an
an
I.
I.
Helio.
Oh, okay. I did not see that on here.
Helio
I've
is
got it
in
on my-
sun.
You know, granted, the only
Helio
4 of
pause,
the
not
5
a
of us
hello
wear glasses,
pause.
but I think all 5 of us need them.
you okay, so looking at text on the monitor that is smaller and higher resolution it's easy to see the I as an L.
Excuses, but
that sounds
not
like
an
maybe.
excuse. I don't know.
Okay. No.
Charlie is going to tell us how M13 is way motherfucking hotter than M3.
I didn't do the motherfucking, but I like it.
Yeah.
I
figure
like
it kinda makes it
M3s
cool.
though. M3s
You
are
can't
good
fit
cars.
in an M3. You have to.
The new
like,
ones I
police
definitely can.
No, you'd have to like police academy them like Hightower and take the front seats out and sit in the back seats.
I mean, worth it.
I love that we have a Police Academy reference.
Tim is going to be telling us about how Germany is leading the way and we may follow. And hopefully he's not talking about the German ambassador to China, but we'll
Chancellor,
cover
maybe?
that one later.
No, not that one.
No,
No.
the German ambassador to China died like 2 weeks after being assigned.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think the one to Thailand died as well. About a couple of months ago. I think it was the German one.
And
Billy
maybe it's
Germans.
Havana syndrome.
Yeah. Of a heart attack.
Germans shouldn't
Could
go
be
to
Havana
Asia,
syndrome.
I guess.
Yeah. And Brandon is going to talk about convenience at what cost.
At what cost?
What cost?
What cost?
And it runs on ARM, just not
I-
this ARM.
I will tell you that the convenience, the at what cost, is I have indents on both of my pinky fingers from where I hold my phone from the bottom to hold it, to keep it in my hand. Because with my MS, I have a lot of hand drop, and like I drop shit in my hands all the time. If I don't put like a finger underneath it, it will fall out of my hand. And my case is sharp, and I have a little dent in my hand now, like constantly. That's
I bet you could
that's
take
the cost.
you could take a
one of
nail,
those-
take one of your wife's nail files and take the edge off.
Yeah, I could.
Also,
It's-
get yourself
it's
a,
a plastic case.
mani-pedi while you're at it, because you deserve it.
Or replace
I
the
do
back of your
deserve it,
phone
damn
with GAC.
Yeah.
The fuck is
Gack.
gack?
It's
And that's how I know
You don't
that.
remember that?
Like something that
You never watched
Cat threw up.
Nickelodeon, did you? It's the shit
Oh, is
they
it that
drop.
green shit that?
that they-
Okay, yeah.
Or orange. It was
They
orange
called it
a lot.
gack. Ew.
Yeah.
GAC.
Yeah, when you could go
Gack.
buy a
Nickelodeon.
tub of gack, and it was basically like slimy silly putty.
It's a
But it would
non-Newtonian
change
was awesome.
consistency.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
huh?
sounds like a cat fur ball noise. Or something.
Maybe that's what they were thinking about.
That's our ASMR now. Just cat noises.
Well, now with cat noises that definitely don't sound like something else.
Well,
Yeah.
Cody, take us away on your papers, please endeavor.
So I'll be honest. When I got up this morning and last night, I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for my episode, because this week has been crazy, and I have not really, like, I've been searching technology news, and the best thing I could find was like John Carmack fixing his own Tesla, which was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, but that's not me. And then I realized, well, wait, the reason why I've been dealing with a lot of stuff is that I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. So let's talk about that. So in order to stay in this fine country, I have to have some sort of visa or extension or something like that. So I've done what's called a TR visa, which is 60 days, and then a 30-day extension on top of that. So now I am preparing to do what they have called unofficially, kind of officially, a COVID extension, which basically means I go to them and I go, hey, I don't really want to travel due to COVID still being rampant in the world, and using that for that my reason to stay in the country, because now Delta is worse in the US than it is here, so I would be much happier not going back there. And I've been learning that they like their paperwork here.
Oh,
so
you
in-
moved to a bigger bureaucracy?
They love paper.
Oh,
So
but
sad.
wait, Charlie. Wait, because I know you're going to get your dig in at this. Just wait. So,
Okay.
the documents that I need in order to get this are in STM2, which basically says that I understand what the ramifications of overstaying my visa are, and sign that. A TM2, or a TM7, sorry, not a TM2, a TM7, which basically says that I wish to extend, and the COVID form, which basically says that I want to stay in the country due to some sort of COVID reason. Proof of residence, which that right there, that can be problematic, because it's your landlord that is required to submit that for you, not you. So that's in some ways out of your hands. But
So
luckily
to pause you for a second. You couldn't fill out the paperwork, walk it to your landlord, have him sign it, and turn it in for him?
Well, my landlord is in Korea. So I use an agent as an intermediary between me and my landlord, or my landlord and I. So, yeah, that was an issue for a while, but I was able to get that, so I have a screenshot that the what is called a TM30 is done. So I have proof of residence. I have in my lease agreement some other paperwork too that proves that this is my residence. Then I need a copy of my passport, a copy of the visa stamp in my passport, a copy of the departure form, which I believe is called a TM6. If I am
Yes.
okay, TM6.
So I have to stop you for a second because you keep saying TM, and that makes me
You thinking
think
Pokemon?
of Pokemon. And TM7, by the way, is horn drill.
Good.
Yeah, it
good to
is.
know. I didn't know
Just-
that they had TM numbers for stuff. Well,
Yep.
maybe if I went in there with a horn drill, they would be happier. I'm not sure. And then
Gotta get
I
here's
don't
the
know.
part.
I kind of
HM5
doubt that.
And
with
here's
the
the part,
process.
Charlie, you might not appreciate so much. The worst part about all of this is I need a letter from the U.S. Embassy. Or, in absence of that, I need an email from the U.S. Embassy stating they do not give out letters. What is worse to deal with than the Thai government is the U.S. government, by far.
So
So-
the email or letter is proving that you're not like fleeing the law in your country.
It's basically saying that there is COVID, that it does exist here. It's basically something like that. So the U.S. has on their website, they have an FAQ that says that they do not give out letters. However, that is not good enough for the Thai immigration here. Now,
Now that's office to office and maybe
Yep.
even person to person. Unfortunately, you get what just to. Yeah, sorry, I interrupt. You're probably going to explain this, but
yeah,
you get one supervisor who says no, I want it this way, and then you're stuck
yeah.
having to do it that way. It doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. That's one part of bureaucracy here that could be frustrating.
Yeah, I will admit that that is somewhat frustrating because there are groups online, Facebook groups that help people through all of this and I was actually getting the information from this group, but the problem is if they are not in Prachuap Khiri, which is the province that I am in, then their results may differ from this province in that scenario. But I was able to get an automated message back from the embassy, so I am hoping that that will be good enough. We'll see,
think
because
it
the
will.
U.S. government, just trying to get the email address was very difficult. So to actually contact somebody of my own country in which I pay taxes was difficult. So
Why don't you just go to the American Embassy in Thailand?
in Bangkok,
It's in-
they
yeah.
only take it by appointments, and I need a paper trail. So I don't need. The problem is if I walk in there and somebody just goes, "No, we don't do that," that will be good enough for them, but it will not be good enough for me. So I need them to respond to that email. So that is the issue that I've been dealing with, and so that is one of 3 things that I've been dealing with. So that is like section 1 of my paperwork story. So section 2 is relatively minor. So I have the Samsung Buds Pro that I got a few weeks ago from the Samsung store here. So they're legitimate. They're not MBK Samsung. So I started having an issue with it last week where this side, so left, stopped, and it will look
They both
reversed
look like
on there.
L's.
It would stop detecting touches and stop being able to do noise cancellation because my phone wouldn't detect it as actually being out of the case and in my ear. It would still play sound, but it still wouldn't do that. So went to the Samsung store at the mall, and they told me they couldn't repair it there, but they were very nice, and they directed me to a repair center here locally. So drove there.
That's good.
Waited in line, and then actually they all have like the little touch kiosk that you set your number, take a number, wait, and they spoke with a very nice person there who English was not her first language, of course. So trying to explain
Did you
that
get a date?
Sound comes out. Hey, I maybe could have.
Play a Tim.
You should have. You should
But-
Always play in the field.
Sound. So I was like, trying to explain sound comes out, but the noise cancellation and touch doesn't work, and that's not very easy to explain in another language, or to do through pantomiming. So like she went back, did a software update on him, came back, and like an hour later I came back to the store and they still didn't work, and I had to like show them with my phone that it didn't work, and then it was like, oh, okay. And then got that figured out, did some paperwork. Luckily they don't require as much paperwork as immigration to do. It was signing a few forms. And then
You didn't have to get the president's signature on that one?
No, did not have to get Biden's signature for that. And then finally got those yesterday, and they've been working fine ever since. So the repair experience in Thailand has actually been very good. I was impressed that I could do it would have been a next day turnaround if it wasn't the weekend. That's the only reason I had to wait 2 days. So awesome.
And here they're Samsung stores are few and far between.
Oh yeah.
So, like,
And it was at the
if you
store.
had been
it
living
was
in
the
Alaska,
repair
that
center.
would have been no.
Oh, that would have been weeks. Yeah, I'm sure that would have
yeah.
been like 2 weeks to deal with. So
So-
I'm really impressed.
Good.
My Samsung Buds Plus, I had to ship them out. They did not cross ship. I had to ship them out. It took 3 days for them to get to the repair depot. 2 days for them to actually get to them and say, "Yep." So my right ear would play very quietly, but that's it. Like almost nothing. Like you had to have the other ear out and everything ramped up to max, and then like, okay, I think I can hear a little bit coming from it. But it was under warranty. They ended up sending it back, but I was without him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sounds like Samsung bugs kind of suck.
Yeah, my
Considering both of
Altec
you guys have
Lansing
had
buds
issues.
haven't failed yet, and I've had them almost 3 years.
Yeah, and it might be. Yeah, maybe there is a high rate of failure in them, but I'm happy with the quality when they as they work. I will say that compared to the Razer ones that I briefly had, like the noise cancellation on these, even the passive noise cancellation, the other setting where you can like amplify the things around you is just outstanding. So
I've got another brand here called MPOW, MPOW.
MPAL's a good quality, cheap
They're pretty
brand.
good.
They've been excellent for me, and good price.
So my problem is I keep forgetting mine at work because I've got a wireless charger and it's tucked beneath my standing desk. So I actually ended up picking myself up a pair of $15 Lenovo's. Just to have something here at the house. Yeah, written review will be coming on the tech part for these, but they're for $15, they're fantastic.
Hey, Colton, because of your little cough, it reminded me, why couldn't the pony sing in the choir?
Why not?
Because he was a little
Because he was a little
Oh,
horse.
little horse. God damn it! I knew that one. I knew that one.
So
All right,
I
Cody,
have a
part
third. Yeah, part 3, the final part. And actually, I might have new information that I just received on this too. So the final part of this is I ordered a new phone, as I may have mentioned before many times. Suddenly.
Sony Xperia.
Apple Pro 12.
Oh God, no. To Charlie. Oh God,
And
no.
Why would you buy a 12 right now with the 13s getting ready to
'Cause
be
they're
announced?
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Cody cares about that.
Yeah, that's fair. I currently have the best, newest, greatest, biggest Apple product for another week, and I almost never have the current generation of iPhone. But when it's other people's money.
There you go.
True.
Hell yeah.
Anyway,
Best.
so I'm getting the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, and I got it shipped from a company called Expansis Thailand. Well, Expansis Thailand is actually based out of Hong Kong, which makes sense because Hong Kong is actually a major electronic market for legitimate electronics. It's one of the three major places in the world. U.S., Singapore, and Hong Kong are all major electronic market. Anyway, got that shipped here. Well, it turns out that because it's over 40,000 baht, I may have to sign up to become an importer. Which means... Yes, that expression, Charlie. Yes, absolutely.
The import-export business, you're going to have to be talking
I import export. That's all I do.
You're going to be talking
Apparently.
about some snobby British guy named James soon.
Yeah.
I'm an importer-exporter.
Or I
Speaking
will
of-
be the snobby guy named James.
Speaking of the Brits, though, do British Starfleet officers pronounce them isolinear crisps?
Fuck you.
I did warn
Forget,
these guys
actually.
before we started recording that they're going to need therapy. They're going to need therapy. after
Fucking
tonight.
Christ. Love it.
So let me tell you about the forms that I will need to deal with this. I will need 5 copies of my passport, 5 copies of my valid visa, 5 copies of the latest entry stamp, 5 copies of the departure card, 5 copies of received notification. Basically, it's a 90-day report, which I haven't had to do my first one yet, so I wouldn't need to do that.
You can't just
Then-
walk into a store
I was gonna
and
say, why can't
hey,
you just
can you order
find
this for me?
this phone in this country?
Because they use FedEx as the shipping method, I would have to become an importer.
No. Why
Well,
can't you just walk into a
why
store
can't-
and get one?
Why can't the store be the FedEx?
So there is one store in Thailand that sells it. This is where Tim is going to go. I told you so. And I got all freaked out because that store is located in a mall called MBK. And MBK is known for selling, let's just say,
knockoffs.
you wouldn't want to necessarily buy an iPhone in there because you might get
You're gonna
an
buy a
iPhone.
Sony instead of a Sony.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
MBK has both. It has legitimate stores, and then it has little stands in the middle.
Okay, so
Yeah, the
if
little
you're-
stands
if
are
you're
things from
standing
China.
in the Apple store and it gets robbed, does that make you an eyewitness?
Okay.
I
Somebody
think-
cut off that
Yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Cut off that camera.
The best part is
anyway,
I had that joke written.
Yeah.
anyway,
But
so
you were
yeah.
you weren't ordering through the store. You were actually ordering from Lazada, which was your protection. But here,
yeah, and
we were-
Lazada is basically like Amazon here. However, I am not familiar with Lazada, so to me, Lazada seems like a flyby, like a Wish, is what I like. Yeah, exactly. So
Colton
like,
is the Wish version of Brandon, just so you know.
oh, that is
Just
so mean.
about 6 inches too short.
He's gonna come to your house. He knows where you live.
He does not know where I live. He's the only one of you that hasn't been to my house, other than Tim, obviously.
Well,
Where do you live?
I
Yes.
haven't been to your new place.
Oh yeah, we just met for breakfast. That's right.
Yep.
So, granted, like, I now know the error of my ways, and I probably should have gotten it through Tree Mobile, who uses Groot as their, like, mascot, Little Groot, for their mascot for their store. So next time,
Nice.
I'll order through Tree Mobile. Okay, so the best part about all of this is I went to Tim's yesterday to get his wife to help me translate between the import or the FedEx people and me, and after looking through the item description, my phone's only 38,000 something, but I spent an extra like 1,500 baht on the warranty. So I may not have to actually go through this, and hopefully Note can explain that, and then they'll take that explanation of the goods in the package are under 40,000 baht. It's the warranty, which I guess this is a reason for never buy an extended warranty, because it might screw you up on immigration. Yeah, fair enough. But I was just thinking that in my head as I found that out. It's like, why did I do this?
I'm just wondering if that warranty will be honored here in Thailand, though.
I might have to ship it to Hong Kong. Of course, then I might have to... maybe I'll have to be an importer-exporter to get it back. So maybe it will be advantageous. Anyway, Colton, I think we've had enough of my paperwork BS. Please tell us about the helio break.
Hold on. Because of his topic. A photon checked into a hotel. The front desk asked if it had any luggage, and it says no.
I'm traveling light.
Ooh,
Mr. Video Editor.
2 of them now.
Yeah.
Mr. Video Editor, can you like mute his audio during this? A little trim.
Make him ineffective.
You can put the old the screen they used to put on TV when the color checker screen on.
Oh, like the
beep.
Indian and the like all
yeah.
And just kind of a beep during that time.
It's very very cruel to our 12 listeners.
Just call it a test of our emergency broadcast system.
This has been a test,
emergency
and only a test.
Muting system. For your benefit.
Your benefit.
Much more, and he will get the banhammer.
Bureaucratic paperwork to astronomical boundaries. All right, we're getting serious here at TWIL, baby. All right, so you guys have heard of, obviously, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, right?
Yeah.
We've probably talked about it on this podcast multiple times, I'm sure. But did you know that about 30 years ago, in addition to all the amazing pictures of the planets and groundbreaking astronomical research, those space probes actually discovered a wall? And a couple of them, actually. Way out of the edge of the solar system. True wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like
cool.
Past the Oort cloud, or
way
the
past
heliosphere.
the Oort cloud. Way past the Oort cloud. We're talking the edges of like solar influence kind of distances.
Damn.
So let me get you guys a picture, because I planned so well.
Woo.
Open that. Let me zoom the fuck out so you can see it. So this is an artist's rendition of the solar winds that are caused by our sun, which is also kind of known as the heliosphere. It's the edge of astronomical influence that the sun has on, well, basically it's the area where the sun actually has influence in any way, whether it be gravitational, solar winds, stuff like that. So there are actually a few interesting barriers in this particular picture. You have the termination shock. This is where the solar winds that always are emanating from our sun, they essentially slow down like 40, 50, 60% right away. And this is basically where the solar winds actually start interacting with the interstellar winds. So solar winds generally average between, I think it was 400 kilometers a second and 700 kilometers a second, which is roughly like 1 million to 1.5 million miles per hour. And their speed will cut in half the second they'll hit this barrier. It's kind of weird, actually. You also have the helio sheath, which is this whole aspect here. This is the area where the solar winds actually start bunching up because, again, they're interacting with the interstellar winds. So instead of just flying around at free particles at this point, they're actually starting to bunch up due to outside influence.
You can think of this as like the Mach cone because we're traveling through
It's
space.
exactly like that. If you look at the actual shape of it, it kind of looks exactly the same. So now at some point, the solar winds and the interstellar winds sort of meet up. They have a drink, get to know each other a little bit. This is actually known as the heliopause, which is the barrier that I was talking about.
This is the Netflix and chill of solar wind.
Exactly. They're just chilling right there, finding a place to meet up, hang out. They basically balance each other out. The pressure from the solar winds and the pressure from the interstellar winds are basically they're canceling each other out. So as a result of this,
the doldrums.
Exactly. The solar winds actually essentially turn around and start going backwards. So that's kind of why it's sort of why there's actually a tail, if you will. They actually follow the tail of the heliosphere. But they actually, at this point, they actually turn around because the interstellar winds actually end up pushing them back. It's actually kind of cool. I never really knew about this. So, at this boundary as well, there's also a wall of helium. At least that's what they believe. Basically, there's hydrogen, excuse me. There's free hydrogen throughout the universe. It's not just like in gas clouds, stellar clouds, stuff like that. It's everywhere. Most abundant element by far. So what happens, another thing that's interesting at this particular boundary, the heliopause, is the solar winds will actually start interacting with these hydrogen particles, which again have essentially formed a wall around the heliosphere due to the weird pressures, and they'll actually start interacting and emitting ultraviolet light. And this is kind of known as the bow shock in this case. Now it's not this bright. You can't actually see it. It's very minute
Okay,
ultraviolet
weird
light.
question, and I'm not. I'm actually curious. I'm not trying to like nitpick or something.
Yeah.
Is it bow shock or is it bow shock? Like I've always thought about it as
It might be
like
bow.
a
It
ship,
might be bow shock.
But I don't know either way. I'm actually curious to know
no,
which
it's-
I was gonna be that guy, but since Cody's already been that guy, it is.
No,
bow
it's
shock
bow shock. Yeah,
because
it is
of-
bow shock.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is just one of the
literally
terrible
the
things
same.
of the English language.
Yeah, when you compared it to a ship, it's the exact same concept. This is the spaceship solar system plowing through space, creating that bow shock, which is the same as the wave.
I could see
at
why
the
they
front
would
of a
call
ship.
it a bow shock too, though.
No, it's
So
a bow shock. I think
okay.
you're right. So yeah, the light that is emitted is called Lyman alpha line. It was discovered. Again, it was first detected by the Voyager spacecraft or space probes at that point, way 30 years ago. But recently, they were not so much confirmed, but also detected by the New Horizons space probe, which around 2015 actually passed by Pluto. If you remember all that hubbub back then. So one thing about this particular wall that is it's not really proven. We're pretty sure it's there. We've detected it, but it's never actually been 100% proven. The Voyager's space probes didn't really have the sensors to really detect it. They just they passed this area and sort of figured out that there was less ultraviolet light just all of a sudden. So they kind of figured there was something there. But hopefully in about 10 to 15 years, when the New Horizon space probe actually gets to that point, we will actually know for sure that there is a wall on the outside of the solar system. So it's kind of cool, kind of interesting.
But what I really want to know is where's V'ger?
Oh my
V'ger?
God.
It hasn't been created yet because one of the Voyager probes hasn't
eaten.
fallen through a wormhole or black hole or whatever
It becomes sentient
to
or
get to the
whatever.
Borg home planet.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, I guess we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting close.
So what I think, the first thing that I thought about when you were talking about how, basically 60% of the speed is cut off, is that I remember like Bill Nye and somebody else that was working on this giant solar sail. And I was thinking that using that might be problematic. Now, I know this is a huge area we're talking about, but past that, wouldn't we start to have issues with that type of technology?
Yeah. So
Well, now remember, there's also interstellar winds as well, and if we can sort of map them out, might be able to kind of make it keep working.
the problem with a solar sail system, with the understanding that we have of interstellar wind and all that stuff, is that at a certain point, it's a one-way trip, because the prevailing trade winds aren't cyclical. We're not gonna like go across.
Yeah,
the North
they're
Atlantic,
always
go down
going
the
in
East
one
Coast, and
direction.
come back across the north.
It's
South
not like the
America.
Earth. They're just going.
Yeah,
One thing that I saw a video on YouTube that was kind of cool. It was concepts of moving the entire solar system. Say that we knew that there was a giant gamma ray burst that was coming to destroy Earth or whatever, and we knew it millions of years in the future, which kind of works on these types of scales. One thing was how they figured out, instead of actually moving, like getting everybody off the planet, they would just move the sun itself. And one way one theory is that they would actually build a giant like sail, and the micrometer thin type of material that isn't really exist at this point, but it would basically kind of like a parabola. It would probably be in the north or the south pole, like not with the plane of the it'd be perpendicular, so obviously we wouldn't. Essentially, it's a giant mirror, so it would catch it would be held gravitationally by the sun, but using the actual solar winds, it would actually reflect it and push it out, kind of like essentially it'd be a propulsion system. And physics say that with the if they were actually able to build it, they could move the solar system like hundreds of thousands of light years in a different direction. So there's a lot of potential
In other
power
words,
there,
how
but
to
we're talking on
eject the sun from the galaxy.
I mean, technically, if we were able, like, if you were talking like a level 3 civilization kind of thing here, like on
Like
galactic
Dyson
scales,
sphere,
yeah, Dyson's. We could do like a Dyson sphere stuff. There's some cool stuff that theoretically could be done. I mean, we have the sun, and it's an infinite
Yeah,
power
but
source.
Dyson sphere is
Wow.
gamma ray burst proof, anyways. Yeah.
Some cool shit. One thing that I didn't realize when I was researching this, I didn't realize that the Voyager 1 and the Voyager 2 spacecraft were actually sent in opposite directions, perpendicular to the plane of the planets themselves, of their rotation. So Voyager 1 was actually sent northward, for lack of a better term, after it went by Saturn. Up relative
So,
to our plane.
This
Or
graphic,
north
this
or
graphic is
whatever.
actually misleading, because
Which reminds me,
it's
there's
not
now
perfect.
talk of a fifth
so
dimension.
the graphic actually should be a 90-degree tilt, because the sun is the center of the point and we're orbiting like this
It's
as
not
we
like
travel through space.
right. Yeah, you're right. It's actually not 90 degrees. Wasn't it like 60 degrees relative to the plane of the galaxy? It's weird. Yeah, it's not a perfect rendition. It's just some guy, but it's just I didn't realize that they purposely sent them in opposite directions from the poles. So that's just kind of interesting to me. So you learn a lot here on TWIL. Who'd have thunk it? Exactly.
Do
But-
yourself if you want something interesting, do a search for new studies and now saying there's a fifth dimension. I don't have notes on it right now, so I can't really talk about it. But
Well, mathematics
Besides
says there's like 11,
Yeah.
yeah,
or
but
now mathematics
feel like they're
doesn't
getting more proof of the
necessarily.
fifth.
It doesn't actually necessarily prove reality, but I'll have to look into that. That sounds interesting. But
See if I can find a link.
kind of maybe going away from it, but maybe not. I have a theory that it's not going 100% away from this idea. Yeah. Charlie, why is M13 way hotter than M5? M3, excuse me. Jesus.
M3, yeah. So M13 is hotter than M3. But more importantly, did you hear about the glassblower who accidentally inhaled? He got a stomach pain.
Groan.
It's just bad.
Yep. So
Made me cough.
Hey,
You're
Dad.
killing me over here,
Good.
literally.
That
So-
one takes such a stretch. No.
So we thought we understood white dwarves. And I'm not talking about Peter Dinklage here. I am talking about the...
That was a better joke.
That was way better.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always funny at someone else's expense.
Yes. We're going to get hate mail if we ever get seen by anyone that resembles Peter Dinklage.
We're going to have to do another test, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so we thought we had figured out how white dwarves work, and we figured out how they age, and what's interesting is that we only really kind of have a theory about how they die, because the universe as it's currently constructed isn't actually old enough to have experienced a white dwarf truly go to its final state. So, we are still theorizing and figuring out, like, what the true entropy of the galaxy and universe is going to be like. So we thought we'd figured out when stars of a specific mass cease nuclear fusion in their core, their gravity forces overwhelm the outward force from fusion, and they create white dwarfs. So they go through a red giant phase and blow off a lot of their corona, and then they get really super dense. So stars up to about 8 times the mass of Sol will end their life cycle as a white dwarf. What we thought happened after that is that eventually it would cool down until it became a black dwarf, which is actually a crystalline structure, and it would actually be completely devoid of energy. That takes billions of years, and obviously many more billions than the universe has been around so far in the current configuration. And that's why it's so hard to prove, is because, you know, the phenomenon is technically longer than the current age of the universe. So it might be much, much longer than that, because, as it turns out, it appears that stable thermonuclear activity on the surface of white dwarfs that have a hydrogen-rich envelope may continue burning, and that will decrease the speed at which, decrease the speed at which the white dwarf cools down, thus lengthening its life by billions and billions of years. So white dwarf
burn,
class celestial objects make up to about 8 times the size of our star, make up about 97% of the stars in the known universe. After they shed their material, the remaining core is about 1.4 times the density of, or 1.4 times the mass of our sun, but we're talking at the size of approximately Neptune. So it's bigger than Earth, but not by a lot. It's not a Jupiter. It's not a brown dwarf. It's much smaller. It's not neutron small.
Yeah, on this scale, it's significantly.
It's pretty small. So let's start off by looking at M3. So M3 is the wide field camera, which is the third camera on Hubble. And we're going to just continue watching for about a minute while it zooms in on M3. So what we thought we knew about white dwarfs is that when we can detect certain crystalline or metallicite structures in the composition of the star, i.e. what heavier elements have been generated, we can approximate the age. It's kind of like carbon dating, but it's more like if there's carbon in the star, you know how long the star's been around. So we're still zooming in on M3. It is really far away. And just...
Is this in the same Milky Way, or is it outside?
No, this is outside Milky Way.
Okay.
There we go. That's truly M3. So these stars are all approximately the same age as M13, which is now what we're zooming in now. And M13 has a problem. They've all passed their red giant stages. According to the metallicites, they have all the same elements. They should be approximately the same age. But approximately 70% of the stars in M3 or M13 are much, much hotter than they should be. And what we're
To
detecting...
clarify something,
Yeah.
question. We were talking M3, M13. We're talking galaxies?
No.
Or...
Pictures.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay,
the
just-
deep field view
Okay.
of Hubble. So when Hubble takes a picture, it's labeled. And so this is the M3 versus the M13 picture. So we're coming up close to M13 here.
Board cube.
Yep.
Sorry.
And right about there. And M13 is 70% of the stars are hotter than they should be. And now I'm just going to go to a picture of the pillars of creation. 70% of them are hotter than they should be. And to the point where we've detected that stable thermonuclear reaction in their corona because they have an envelope of hydrogen. So they haven't blown off all of the fusible materials. Even stranger than that, one of the stars in M13 is so hot that it could delay the burnout by 8 billion years. The current universe is only about 13.4 billion years right now, and so this white dwarf it's future proof. We're not gonna, there's no way that anything that resembles us will ever see it die. These hotter than average white dwarves will last about 1 billion years longer than their M3 cousins.
Here, out of curiosity, I always thought, or maybe this is pre-white dwarf, but isn't it if a star is hotter and bigger, it actually lives less?
So yes, but if they don't have fusible materials anymore,
Yeah, I guess
it's an active cooling process. If they do have a fusible material still, it will delay because it takes time for that fusion to happen. And since it's not happening at the core, it's happening on the surface, that it kind of acts like a blanket almost to the core and keeping it warm. And because it's not relying on gravitational forces for its fusion, it's active thermonuclear fusion instead of gravitationally created fusion. It will take a lot longer to go through its fuel, significantly longer, because the chances of the nuclei hitting each other is dramatically lower because gravity is not nearly
the pressure isn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking like greater mass versus
Right.
volume.
Right. So this is the problem of space is not cold. Space is really, really hot, but there's so little matter to hit you, you freeze. So the matter that's floating around in space is incredibly hot, but there's so little of it to hit you, you get cold. So, by the way, in other headlines, did you hear about the corduroy pillowcases? They're really making headlines.
God damn it.
And next. So Tim,
Am I next? Oh, okay. Well, I have a couple of really quick topics. Just more little news tidbits.
Topicettes.
Yeah, one that's good for probably most of us. Germany is proposing to force phone makers to provide 7 years of security updates.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Samsung currently promises only 3 years of OS updates and 4 years of security patches. So the good thing about this is that if that comes true and if they have to do that, I'm sure that would be passed on to the rest of the world because it just doesn't make sense to deny everybody else the same thing.
Well,
And the other thing that Germany is proposing is that spare parts are to be available at a reasonable price. Manufacturers only want to go for 3 years of security and 2 years of OS at this time.
yeah,
So that's
coupled
my
with the
subject
right
number
to
one.
sorry to interject, but coupled with
Yeah.
the right to repair stuff that's going on, I see this as being very good for the consumer.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think it's going ahead in the U.S. the right to repair, but if it goes ahead in the EU,
Yeah.
then It's got to have a trickle down.
I mean, the
So-
right to repair movement in the United States has actually started to move towards the consumer side a little bit.
Yep.
So hopefully we're not to the point of seeing like stuff like in Germany or in the EU in general about consumer rights, but it's in its infancy. It's starting to gain some steam though in the States.
Well,
So-
honestly,
Just
Okay, go ahead.
go ahead, Cody. No.
Okay.
Go.
The EU
We're so
was
polite.
really the driving force for us getting a unified port on phones. Remember before, when in the olden times, before the smartphone, when we had like every
9
manufacturer
different types
had,
of connectors.
yeah, Kyocera had theirs, Nokia had theirs,
And
Palma had 2 or
Ericsson.
3 different ones.
I mean, everything is going to USB-C right now. Everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They also
even
seem to
And now
be
I'll
some
say
of the
this.
Apple stuff.
Yeah, like
Leading on some
my
of the privacy
new
issues, too.
iPad is a USB-C. The new iPhone will be USB-C. What's interesting to me is that this is actually farther than what Apple currently does, which I'm a fanboy. I get it. So your Android devices, you get security updates for about 3 years, depending on the manufacturer and the firmware and all that stuff. Apple
Yeah.
does 5 years, so 7 years is just huge.
Well, and so to give everyone a little bit of context on that. So 7 years ago was 2014, right?
God. Don't
Anyone
remind me.
care to just take a guess on what one of the top 10 phones of then would have been?
Galaxy
would've-
S3.
It would have been the iPhone.
No,
3.
S5.
iPhone 6.
Okay, so iPhone 6, 6 Plus, Sony Xperia Z3, Moto X Droid Turbo, Samsung Galaxy Note 4, Google
they-
Nexus 6.
Was Apple even using the
HTC
Lightning
One.
connector at that point?
No.
They were.
It was still the white
For a
one.
lot of people, those would still be
was
very
that like
valid
one of the?
phones.
That was right around that
Oh no
time.
no
though,
no
wasn't
no!
it?
You're right, because
That was Lightning connector.
yeah, it was
like-
Lightning because it
Yep.
was 4 to 5 is what went from wide to skinny.
Yep. HTC One M8 for Windows,
Jesus.
BlackBerry Passport, Nokia Lumia 1520, LG G3, and HTC One M8 Android. So
So-
I don't. Well, I
Yeah,
think
but
7 years
but
is a good idea. I don't know that there are going to be many people.
Not in the first
Taking advantage
generation
of it.
consumer, but in your second, third, and fourth generation of sales. I mean, when you
There's a lot
sell
of
your
people-
phone, it's not getting sold in the United States most of the time. It's getting sold in the third world. So really what
Yeah.
we're doing with this is making telecommunications in the third world and less developed countries that would somewhere be in the second world be able to play on the same field with security.
If my
Yeah.
6 Plus, if my iPhone 6 Plus didn't have other problems, I would still probably be using it as a phone in my car, because my car has the Apple
Yeah.
software
So-
on Android.
So I think the
For
answer
example.
is pretty obvious. But why is Germany doing 7 years? Why are they doing this now? Tim.
The articles I read do not say why. I
fair
don't
enough.
have that. I don't
I
have
mean,
the
it's
reason.
pretty. I mean, I think we've already answered it. It's just for consumer protection at that point. I mean,
Yeah, and there's
e-waste
another-
as well, which is a real problem.
Yep.
And I think
Like
that
that 6 Plus
this-
is still a very usable phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
this will actually
yeah,
push.
it is, Tim.
I think this will actually push different consumer trends rather than the consumer trends pushing the bill. I think the bill will actually push consumer trends that people might be willing to keep their phones longer.
Yeah,
I
and
that's
also-
actually-
that's also a reason why they. Probably
I'm looking
don't
at
wanna go
Brandon
for it.
right now, and I'm saying, "Wow,
Well,
you've
yeah.
had the same phone for how many years? The longest phone you've ever had? How many? Yeah.
But
no,
if you're
7
looking
years.
at the
gone.
overall trend and where, unless there's some major like technological revolution with phones, they've only gotten incrementally better, And
Yep.
when an iPhone 6s, I mean, yeah, that's a 7-year-old phone. It could still do very well in today's world. You could perfectly do everything that you want it to do. It might be a little bit slow comparatively, but a 7-year phone from like 2021 to 2028, and like I said, unless there's some big technological evolution, there probably won't be a huge difference.
It's really
At
the
least
camera.
There's also
or
there's,
the
you know, there's
tenants.
environmental impact.
But even
to
the
this
cameras
as well.
aren't environmental impacts. But even the cameras and the technology in the phone isn't jumping like it did. Like a iPhone 5 to an iPhone. I'm using Apple because they set all the damn trends anyways. But an iPhone 5 to an iPhone 6 versus an iPhone 12 to a 13, the difference is not nearly as big in terms of quality.
No.
In terms of
You know what?
revolution,
I still have an
advancement.
I still have an iPhone 4S, which is in perfect condition, but I can't use it or even do anything with it because Wi-Fi is not compatible with it anymore.
Right. Its antenna is not the right bandwidth.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're not talking feature updates, and they're talking security updates for 7 years, right? That's what they're hoping
no,
for.
I was just
In
I was
parts?
just varying from something else. I
Yeah.
thought that was more of a software thing with my phone.
No, it's actually
Yeah,
the
that's
antenna doesn't.
interesting.
It
That's-
doesn't
Yeah,
reach
that's
the
a
right
hardware
gigahertz.
issue. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that
mean-
that is
and-
actually fascinating, and yeah, I'm eager to see what comes of this.
I'm
And it's a proposal. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll come somewhere in between 3 and 5, 3 and 7.
Oh my
Maybe.
God!
And they have one other topic.
Ooh. Go for it.
Oh my God! Should I
He's
go ahead or
holding an
go with the
iPad.
oh my God?
The only Apple device I have is an iPad 2.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
I have a Pro
And it's
3.
pretty much useless right now.
I have
Yeah,
a Pro 3,
exactly.
a 12, an iPad Mini 4, an Apple Watch 6.
That's Apple.
I have my ex-wife's Apple Watch 3 for my daughter.
Apple.
That's
Apple.
Apple's.
Oh God, Apple.
Apple's plan
It's like
is always to
Apple
make stuff
and Microsoft.
obsolete.
We've got Milner that's
It's true.
Apple and Brandon that's Microsoft. Sorry, Tim, I cut you off.
Apple's plan is always to make things obsolete because there's nothing wrong with the hardware on the iPad 2.
That is going to be an interesting.
If they
obviously,
kept the
these
OS a little bit simpler
these
than
companies aren't
what
going to
they need in the
necessarily
business.
like this, so it'll be interesting to see
Now,
what their
I will say
what their
this.
counter proposal is.
Your iPhone 4 is not obsolete, and you could use it. You would just have to go through the painstaking process of finding a Wi-Fi router that matches it.
Okay.
Yeah, just get
And-
one of those Linksys WRT 54Gs. Those are still, you can still find them on like eBay and stuff.
So really, the problem with that then is bandwidth on the router, because those do not go gig.
No, yeah.
They don't go gig, but you
But
don't.
I would-
you
I
don't
wouldn't-
Most people
wouldn't be
don't
using-
need.
I wouldn't
that
be
you
using
don't
it for
either.
anything fast. Anyways.
Yeah,
It
most
would just
people
be
don't need to go super fast.
a
do
one
they?
use. It would be a one use thing. A
Yeah,
common
and
application
also
for
you
just use
wouldn't-
it that way.
The phone itself wouldn't really be capable of using that much bandwidth anyway. So,
Yeah.
as Joey Triviani says, it's a moot point.
Okay,
Yep.
move on to my second subject.
Yep.
This is at a Stanford University. With some little input from myself. I've always wondered and been concerned when we thinking we depend so much on lithium batteries. I mean, this subject is still going to depend somewhat on lithium batteries, but along with also some other technology in batteries, because lithium is I think it's got to be a very limited element that we don't have endless supplies of. I know it seems like we probably have all kinds of it right now, but it will end. But anyways, at Stanford University, they have developed a battery that can hold a charge 6 times more than a straight lithium battery. It's a experimental chlorine battery. It's a alkali metal chlorine battery based on technology of lithium thionyl chloride. Now, I'm not a chemistry person, so those are just words for me. But a well-maintained lithium is good for about 500 to 1,000 cycles. Currently, this one is only good for 200 cycles, but they expect to be able to increase that. But a battery that can hold 6 times the charge, has some really good applications. And some of the ones they mentioned are hearing aids, remote controls, satellites, any remote sensors that are topped up with solar. And that's basically it. But it's nice to see that there's a lot of research going into battery technology, because
Oh, for sure.
Work on these problems, and we want more electric cars. We're not very good at recycling things yet, and then we have to definitely find ways to improve batteries.
What?
Now I'll say this:
Go ahead.
lithium is the 25th most abundant element in the Earth's crust.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think the
yeah,
issue
that
is
doesn't make
heating
it. That doesn't
though,
make
isn't
it. That doesn't make it very abundant. It's
Mm.
like 20 milligrams per kilogram of the Earth crust is lithium. But the problem is,
Wow.
because it's so highly reactive, it's not found in its pure metallic form in nature.
Mm.
So you have to refine it, and that's a pain in the
There's
ass.
only a few
It's a
countries where
dirty
it's
process
mined
too.
at the moment, isn't
kind
it?
of.
No,
Australia,
actually,
China.
Actually, you can. There are thousands of potential mining locations. It's a matter of whose backyard is it in, is the reason why it's not getting developed. There is a gigantic, the second largest deposit that we know of is the United States. And it is probably not going to be mined in our lifetime. Probably. Maybe.
It just depends how what our needs are as a society.
Just needs to be
especially
the next,
with
needs to be the next Yucca Mountain, because I'm pretty sure it's on sacred Aboriginal
well,
land.
yeah, that's probably not going to happen then.
Yeah.
Which is probably
but
not a bad
it's
thing.
sacred
either.
land, but it's outside of reservation, so it's on federal land. So it's we don't have a good track record with that. We might fuck it up again. So
Treaties are not our strong suit here in the States,
they're
unfortunately.
more of a suggestion. Like parlay, it's more of a guideline.
It's the guidelines, really. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about batteries multiple times
Yeah.
on this podcast.
It's one of my favorite
Oh,
topics.
okay.
Sorry,
Right.
Tim.
It's going to be. I mean, if when this podcast gets to its 4,761th episode, I'm sure we'll be talking about batteries, at least 50% of them by that point,
Oh yeah.
which is awesome. I mean, they're
Or
the future.
we won't need batteries because we'll have miniature nuclear reactors by then or something.
Well,
Or we'll be dead.
nano diamond batteries.
Hydrogen
So
batteries.
that
we've
will-
multiple different types.
Would that be the 69th episode of the 69th season? No, because our
Uh,
seasons are at 100. Never mind.
Our seasons are only 30 episodes, not 69.
Yeah. Too bad.
We'd be like at 100 and something, 200 something at that point.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, should I move on to Brandon?
Yes, but
Sure.
what has two butts and kills people?
Your face.
Assassins.
God, I'm such a child. I like that one. Anyways,
Okay, Brandon's
is-
topic.
So,
Convenience at what cost? Go ahead, take it away.
yeah, this is a short one. Apple is working with select U.S. states to add driver's licenses and state IDs to the Wallet app.
Yep.
Arizona and Georgia will lead the charge, followed by Connecticut, Kentucky, Maryland, Oklahoma, and Utah. Normally, the Wallet app stores credit cards, student IDs, and boarding passes. The idea behind adding in state IDs and driver license into the app is actually for easier passage through TSA at the airport. You won't be handing over your device to TSA. Instead, you'll use a reader that will be able to send the information over digitally. You'll have to authenticate it via Face ID or Touch ID before the device is able to send that data. I like the idea of the convenience, but feel like it's just one more piece of your private data that could be stolen in a breach. It'll be interesting to see what other states decide, who hops on the bandwagon, who doesn't, how it evolves with time. It's very likely
you
that
know the
Android
government keeps a database of all of our stuff, right? So it's already in one area that's not necessary. I mean, I'm sure it's
Okay.
secure.
Here's
I don't see a
my
problem with it.
How easy is it for you to lose one of these?
How easy is it to lose your wallet? It's the same concept, Brandon.
Yeah.
That's. I'm just saying it's not any worse to me.
How many million Americans carry their Social Security card in their fucking wallet?
God, it's way
Too
too
fucking
fucking many.
many.
Way any more than 0, fucking idiots.
And what's
sorry.
shocking to me is like even when they created the Social Security number, they're like should not be used for identification purposes.
Yep. But
And-
what does every financial agency ask you? Can you please verify using the last 4 digits of your social and your
To
address?
get a cell phone fucking account or whatever, you have to have your fucking social security
Because
number.
it's tied to your finance. Yep.
It's that could be a rant episode. I'm just
Yeah,
saying we could talk
ooh,
about that.
yeah.
Credit score is on our list. I'm just saying. So what's besides the fact that phones aren't necessarily the most secure things in the world, what other issues are there with storing your
Okay, so
your card that you have in your pocket
What-
anyways?
What is the most
Okay.
What's the
secure
difference?
system to store your data? I'll wait.
Blockchain.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you think that can't be hacked eventually?
Oh, eventually. But the amount of computer resources
That's-
required.
Right now.
Yeah.
True.
Now, when we get to quantum level technology, then nothing is safe.
Yeah. It's fine.
Oh,
I
someday
mean,
we'll be
security-wise, we'll be using
identifying
quantum level
ourselves by
technology
our
too.
DNA.
It's a cold war at that point.
Yeah. What was that, Tim?
Said someday we'll be identifying ourselves by our DNA.
Why not? Fuck it.
Like in
Yeah.
Gattaca. I don't know. My other worry is it's so much easier to falsify something digitally than it is physically. So how easy could it be for bad actors to falsify, not only their boarding passes, but identification?
Again, I say blockchain
guess-
for the solution.
I guess my concern is if the government or NSA would come up with a way that they could scan your phone and grab your ID, then they could monitor where you are, even if you had a mask on.
But you already
You know what I'm saying?
are
You know what I'm saying?
monitored because you have a cell phone in your
Because-
pocket anyways.
So
Yeah.
I'm just
one of the things that I think we're failing to identify is that at
suppose.
some point this device is going to prove who I am because of where I am. If I am actively using my device and it's the only one that there is, if it gets stolen, it gets stolen. But like if I'm attempting to use my social security number and I plug it into the little machine to let me go through the gate, and it's going to say, hey, is Charlie's phone here? Is Charlie's smartwatch here? Is a predominant of his mobile devices close by? And then at that point, it's wherever I am. If you want to steal my information, you have to be physically near me, following me wherever I go.
which is how
Some
stealing
companies
works
already do
anyways,
this.
I mean.
But-
Bank of America actually have that as a security option. Where now that's great unless you are not on a cellular network that is located in the United States.
Yeah. Well,
Because
we
still have digital borders, and I can only tell you how frustrating that is to deal with some
Yeah.
of the stuff with banking institutions in the United States.
Yeah.
So
now,
and also there are people still without smartphones.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a paramedic that works
And
for
Brett,
me that
go
has
ahead,
a flip phone.
Brandon. Yeah, I have met some of these people, and they're very proud of.
They're
the
gonna
fact
die
that
eventually.
They're Mennonites, yes.
But here's
Some
the
of
thing
them
about
are young,
falsifying
Colton.
this data. I know there's out there, but they will either be left behind or they won't. Whatever, that's their problem. Sorry, it's just society moves at society's pace.
Yeah, fair enough.
True.
Fair enough.
So the problem I,
I think
have
Brandon
with
wanted to
falsifying.
say something too.
Sorry, I'm trying to sort of bring it back to Brandon too, and I want to we'll call it clarification
Okay.
on a point he
Okay.
made. The I don't see the problem with falsifying stuff because it's verified on that side. Anyways, it's We already can do digital boarding passes. Why is that any different than putting it in a then? So I don't see the problem. I don't see the issue with falsifying.
I've had
here
boarding passes in my Apple Wallet 6 years, 7 years.
I mean, all the major airlines have apps that where you can put your boarding pass in.
Right.
Anyways, so
I flew to England. I flew to
it's-
England in 2016, and I didn't have paper tickets the entire time. It was all Apple Wallet.
Right. And
it depends on the airline.
every time I flew.
When you
Go ahead.
Brandon, when you fly to Asia, you will probably, unless something changes dramatically in the next year, you will have a paper ticket.
Yeah. International flight.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Brandon. So make your point. Sorry, we keep interrupting.
No, it's fine. So the last point I had here is that I wonder if eventually this will lead to a future where rather than handing over your ID, registration, and insurance, you'll simply tap your phone to the police reader, sending the information over that way.
I mean, is that a problem?
Yeah,
If it can be done
I
securely?
don't actually have an issue with this. Again, I think it should be stored in a blockchain, but I don't have an issue with the high level concept of it. I have an issue with the specific details and nitpickiness of this, that, you know, a company that wants to scan your phone for child porn is to be entrusted with all of your personal data. That I can have issue with. Google actually, apparently, I read an article that Google might be doing this too, so it's not just Apple. So we're, you know, both sides are kind of at fault as far as like potential security issues and like misuse of people's personal devices. But the overall concept of having digital versions of your physical copies of things that are unalterable, I actually like this. Again, I keep saying blockchain, but I really think, and this is being used in blockchain. For instance, there's a project in Africa where people, I forget which country it is, but lots of people are basically given identifiers by using Cardano. And that's a huge project, so they can actually verify their education. This is something that isn't that far-fetched, and you can make it secure.
Yeah, it's very nearly fetched.
So I guess the issue they'd have to make it secure
Fido's
is
got
obviously the connection between Apple, because I mean Apple has been hacked, but they're pretty secure. It's in their best interest to be as secure as possible.
I
guess
say don't.
I could also see down the road one ID, maybe by country, and tied to that one ID would be a state driver's license, a health card.
That would be convenient.
Your visa,
Everything in
your
one.
passport.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is take it away from the company's onus to provide this, and have it so it's the individual that has this. So rather than being an Apple ID or Apple, holding your passport, that maybe it should be some sort of separate personal item.
And who's going to build that? What company is going to build that?
Where's the money at?
Probably government.
Well,
I mean,
have
it would
to
be that's a
source-
nice thought.
UN. You could have the UN back it, but
No,
Well, the cool thing about all of this-
why would they listen to their ID?
yeah.
I mean, the cool thing about all this is something might happen in the next 10, 20 years. Again, an advance in computer technology, an advance in encryption. I mean, a huge increase in speed. There's other things that can happen that we don't know yet, that all of a sudden it just makes more sense to have all your identification in your smartphone. I mean, who knows? We don't know. It all depends on how the world actually reacts to
it is
this
happening.
particular
It's-
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it is a potential threat to have your data kept on Apple. It's going to be interesting to see how they protect it, or more interesting is how people who are wanting to get this data, how they're going to hack it. That's what's going to be interesting in the next 5 years, probably, if there's even an incentive to do it. It's the same thing as we've talked about it way back in our cybersecurity. The safest way to protect your data is to not
Have
put
data.
it in any, not have data. I mean, really, in the end. But society has moved towards data is everything. So I don't know. It's fascinating. And it's interesting how it's my state that's one of the first to adopt this. It's actually very fascinating to me. The back ass words Arizona here, but I don't know. Who knows? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, this is cool. I like that this is happening. I don't necessarily agree with the specific implementation of it, but I like that the technology is going that direction.
And as we said in that one episode, it's the human side that's always the weakest link. So you're gonna have to train people how to use it correctly. You're gonna have to. There's a lot of things that it's all education at this point. The technology is probably secure as shit. I'm sure it's in triple encrypted, military encrypted, 256-bit minimum. Who knows how it's saved? But if you just take a picture and show it to someone on the internet, well, it doesn't matter how secure it is if they could just steal it from you because you let it get stolen. Be interesting.
What do you call a snail that
interesting.
isn't moving? S-car stay.
And with that, Colton, where can we find you?
Try not to die, apparently. Name's Colton Roper. You can find me on all the social medias as Seeker4761.
That's Cody's
Okay,
turn.
nothing. That's fine.
Cody,
I
you still are you determined that you're needing therapy
the amount of wine that I need to drink after all of Charlie's.
I'll go with
horrible
one
dad
more.
jokes.
The number of hours that we'll all collectively need in therapy after my jokes.
or the amount of papers that I'm going to have to deal with this week.
Hey, you know what? At least they're not Russian dolls, because Russian dolls are really full of themselves.
God damn it. I am also
Somebody
try
else
to
talk, please.
I also try to stream on Twitch pretty consistently under the same name, Seeker4761. And yeah, I'm also a contributor to thetechpirate.net. Cody, what about you?
My name is Cody Stratman,
complicated.
also go by Psycho Nitrous or Zito Valder because I can't choose a name. And I have contributed to thetechpirate.net. I will probably be doing a review of these since I've been using them for a while, although I have nothing to compare them to, but I'll do my take on
The
them.
razors?
Very briefly. But I do actually have some opinions on that. I probably won't be streaming for a little bit because I'm going to be moving in the next few weeks to Bangkok, so I'm going to have to deal with all of the stuff that requires moving and
No more Havana?
nonsense. No, I found myself a place that I think I'm going to like there, and also, yeah, you guys will just have to see if I make it to the place that I'm hoping I will make, and going to a language school there.
Ooh.
Anyway,
Nice.
Tim, why don't we hear about you?
Sure. Tim Rhind, and it's very simple. Our Thai Journey. No spaces on Instagram and YouTube. And pass it on to Brandon.
No.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Come on.
What? But I want to go to Brandon.
Brandon
Brandon
closes us out. My name is Charlie Stiffler, also known as Mjolnir. Stall drunk, so always get it right. You can find me streaming very infrequently because event season is upon us, and as soon as that's over, I will get back to having a life. Twitch, YouTube, Steam, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything except for TikTok, and only because Vine's dead. I had a Vine, but I'm loyal to Vine. I'm never gonna have a TikTok. I've decided. That's the hill I'm going to die on.
I love TikTok.
That's fine.
TikTok is amazing.
Yeah, so...
It truly is.
Hey, Brandon,
it.
what is
I love
Captain Kirk's least favorite flavor of ice cream? Butter pecan!
Oh.
Take us home.
Grown.
For the record, I did get through every single one of the jokes I had written for this episode.
I'm sure you did.
So, do you know why LeVar Burton could never be the permanent guest host?
Because
or
Picard
the
would
permanent
never
host?
put the chief engineer in jeopardy.
Yep.
Actually, I like that one.
That's
All right. I am Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis, Captain Drac, B Vader 86. Guess which platform
He also can't pick
those
a name,
are on.
apparently.
Yeah.
No. And
I
he's
need
now on
to-
ROV.
Yeah, which is a weird Thai-only version of Arena of Valor that I've had to sideload on a phone in order to be able to play, and I have to use a VPN client to get my ping low enough to actually play competitively on the servers, and I still have about a 250 millisecond response time, which
That's
I'm sure
Sounds like it's
doesn't
not worth it.
help.
terrible.
Doesn't help. But yeah, I play that with my girlfriend Penny over there. So yeah. Anyway, you can also find me on the techpirate.net, and in the next I would say week or two, you'll see a review for these little cheapy Lenovo earbuds.
Wait a second. If you're dating Penny, which one of us is Sheldon?
See, I'm thinking
you
of
have
penne
to
like the
ask.
pasta.
If you have to
I'm not
ask,
OCD.
Charlie.
It's spelled CDO, so it's in alphabetical order.
There you go. Thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can, of course, send an email to twil@thetechpirate.net. And we will see you all next week for our discussion episode, where we will have more rants and probably far
Less
too
structure.
many dad jokes.
All right.
Who knows? I might take a week off.
Goodbye.
You'll never know.
Oh, and it's a drinking episode.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, fuck, it is. And it's the
yeah.
season finale.
Wait, what?
It's a drinking episode. It's a season
drinking
finale.
episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
All the shit's happening.
Ah, fuck.
Oh,
Stay
I need
tuned.
to take Tuesday off. 50 points if anyone can tell me what kind of device this processor is from. A Mindspeed Concerto.
Calculator?
Concerto.
Oh,
Like
shit.
one of those
Um,
desk calculators?
I don't know. MIDI?
Nope.
It's old,
It
I'm
is-
sure.
It's
Cash, like a
it's like a pool,
POV,
like a
a
stereo
POS?
system, a PA system.
Nope.
not a point of sale system.
Nope.
Hold on. That sounds
audio
awfully
amplifier. No?
Italian.
Raspberry Pi.
Nope.
No, it's old. It's old, isn't it? How
Oh,
old is it?
it's a voice recorder.
Early. Nope.
Are you sure it's not a
That was
voice
a good
recorder?
guess, actually.
Positive.
Looking for audio.
Do not
I
make me
tore this
open
device apart.
my voice recorder.
Well, this one.
I tore this device apart to replace a power supply fan.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Okay.
Apparently-
it had a
apparently-
chip in
What
it?
is it?
Yes.
It's a power supply.
This is a media converter
Oh.
that takes a T1 line and converts it into a different
Ethernet?
standard. No, a different standard. Basically, this is the chip that powers that allows our digital telecom system to talk to our digital but still like analog back end mail server.
That was my 8th guess, so I should get points for that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us. would.
Communications convergence
No.
processing.
Huh.
Yep.
High performance analog.
So again, how old
Yes.
is it?
It's a WAN. It's a WAN. It's a wide area networking.
2001, 2005,
Ancient.
somewhere into there.
Gross.
Yeah. I will try and remember. What is the device? Oh, did I really not take a picture of the front of it?
Yeah,
Why
was
would
that?
you?
I
Surgeon
really
happened,
didn't
bro.
take a
Surgeon
picture
happened.
of the
again.
front of it.
It's so weird. I've only heard that usage like used in Colorado.
Denver. Specifically Denver.
Yeah, it is specifically
What?
Denver. So they use
Using
the word gross.
gross.
Okay,
Gross.
if we stepped
I
in,
started that
that's a
while I
Canadian
was
thing,
in
too.
Gunnison.
That used to be an Eastern Canadian thing too, or
yeah,
most
like
Canadian-
but
Central
most
Canadian.
most Americans use the word gross. Like if they stick in if they like step in vomit, they would say, "Oh, gross."
Oh,
No, that's
yeah.
called a Tuesday
If-
for me.
Yeah, if people from Denver like have something that is disagreeable or like listen to something that is disagreeable, they use the word gross to describe that.
For listening.
Or like they see something or they something appears or something sounds something they disagree with, it is now gross. Like
Yep.
yeah, it's very most of the time that I've heard that used that way, it's been in Denver.
Yep.
Weirdos in Denver.
I still hear gross and immediately think of eine großes Glas. A big glass.
Haha.
It's bits of a German song that I still remember from my first year of German class.
Ich
That's
bin
the
ein
only thing I
Berliner.
remember from it. A jelly-filled donut. Yes, you are, sir.
I am.